uncle told me that I would fall in love and that the man that I loved would be the one.
One of the scariest things that you can deal with
With that.
is when you find somebody new and you're having to compete against their past. Because I remember my grandma always told me, boy, you're going to meet women and women going to come into your life and they going to always have somebody from their past that will always have access to them. One person. Just one. Not a whole bunch of dudes, not a whole bunch. No, I'm talking about, baby, listen to me. I don't care. I don't care what you, I don't care what she tell you. There will always be one person that will always have access to her no matter what she says to you. And another thing she said was every time you date somebody, you always have to remember you are really not the one she want to be with. The one she really want probably just wouldn't get his act together. And I'm saying, them two things, it stuck with me forever.
What's up, fellas? It's your main man. Back on the scene with another video. Ocho Cinco's grandmother is right. That is the norm. Once they start sleeping around, the likelihood that there's a man that they met that she loves more than everybody is there. Is it 100%? No, but take it as a norm. Now, my mom's told me, if you meet him in the streets, leave him in the streets. She's not going to stop doing what she's doing. So we're going to check this out, body count and sexual jealousy. So does body count matter? Hell yes, it matters. All those different experiences that she had.
Yeah, fuck.
Beat it up right dance right there.
Jimmy one leg.
Oh, I love to ride. That was the best fucking I ever had.
That's because you've been dealing with the ace.
Trust me, it will come out at some point in time. I used to didn't ask because I didn't care. Because I was young, swimming in women. So it didn't matter. But once I slowed down and started trying to get something more serious, that's when I noticed that it does matter. Certain things that came up, and it wasn't always bad, but just some of the stuff they were telling, I was like, whoa, you really can't do nothing with these chicks, man. So let's check this out. Let's hear what the good doctor has to say. Let's roll it.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is body count and sexual jealousy. So this is going to be a spicy episode, and I'm going to say some things on this subject that I'm sure some men out there are not going to agree with, and that's okay. My primary thesis here is that when it comes to body count, the actual number is not as important as a lot of men out there believe. And I'm going to be discussing why I
think it is. Always listen to both sides.
Believe that to be true in today's talk. First of all, I'll preface this by saying, men, you are allowed to want whatever you want. If you want a woman with a low body count, that is your right. If you want to marry a virgin, that is your right. It might.
That's highly advisable, but in this culture, it's highly improbable.
Be very difficult to find in today's sexual marketplace, but if that's what you want, I don't have a problem with your preference. I hope you find what you're looking for. That said, it's not immediately obvious why men want women with a low body count. This is because the actual number is generally understood to be a proxy for other things that men do want, which tend to fall into two informal clusters. On the one hand, low body count is presumed to incite less sexual jealousy and disgust. On the other hand, low body count is presumed to facilitate pair bonding and emotional attachment. Now let's talk about each of these things in turn. So men can and do get jealous of a woman's past. That's why I generally advise men.
I don't get jealous because what's done is done, but it's more like I'm disgusted by it. That's why I don't ask. They don't tell me. Because whatever number they tell you, you're not going to like it anyway. And I don't think they're going to tell you the truth. By judging by TikTok, it doesn't look good, man. Then again, we don't know what percentage of women are actually doing what they're doing on TikTok. It's rock and roll.
Men to tread into the territory of a woman's sexual past only with a great deal of discretion. There might not be anything that you learn by prying into her past that will make you feel better or will improve your capacity to make an informed decision. This is because if you want to know, you're already emotionally invested. which means on some level, you've already made your decision. Men who are not emotionally invested do not care about a woman's past. It doesn't incite jealousy or disgust. In fact, if you're just looking to smash, then her experience with short-term relationships is to your benefit. It means that she's open to the possibility of a casual relationship in a way a virgin probably wouldn't be. On the other hand, men who care about a woman's sexual past are more interested in a long-term relationship.
Exactly. I mean, if you want a relationship, then it matters. You just swimming in the women, it don't matter. You just be guy number 1001 tapping that ass. Let's go.
Typically because they've already made the decision to emotionally invest, at which point any information about anything that she's done with anyone is subject to creating unnecessary pain. And this, of course, is why women generally lie when it comes to this topic. And here's my point. Men's emotional reaction to a woman's sexual past often has less to do with the sheer number of her previous sexual partners and more to do with what she has done or not done with you relative to what she has done or not done with anyone else.
I'm going to push back on that. It's a combination of both. Because if, let's say she was doing one-night stands and you hook up with her, but then she wants to make you wine and dine her and wait a couple weeks, you're going to be like, oh, hell no. You gave to that dude because he was born. You met him in the bar, had a drink, smoked cock. But you want me to wine and dine you, sit around waiting for you to decide when you're going to give me the booty. Ain't nobody putting up with that.
You're not the one.
The emotional reaction is a response to an awareness of an unfavorable economic exchange. In order to explain, I'll use some simple and slightly exaggerated examples to demonstrate what I'm talking about. According to the data, women in the West have a lifetime average of 7 sexual partners. So let's say that you meet a girl with a relatively high body count.
I wonder how they come to that. Is a questionnaire? Like, how do they know this? I'm curious about that. Because that's based on what they admitted to. The survey, they might be, I'm going to say 6. But it might actually be 36. You know what I'm saying?
Like 15. This woman has slept with 15 men before you. But let's also say that she made each of them wait 2 months before she slept with them, and only after each made an exclusive commitment to her, and they only ever had standard intercourse that she didn't enjoy. And let's also say that she was willing to break all of these rules and precedents with you. She's so attracted to you that she wants to sleep with you right away without an exclusive commitment, and no sexual activity is off the table. How are you going to feel? Now, if you're like most men, under the circumstances, you're not going to feel disgusted that this woman has had twice the average number of sexual partners. You're going to feel attractive and flattered and proud that...
Nah, I'm going to have to push back on that one, my man. The thing that does it for me is that she did it. I'm not going to ask for the quality of sex she had with each man. I don't want to get that deep into it. It's going to turn you off big time. I don't want to know all that. But she did it.
She is apparently willing to break the rules for you that she applies to everyone else. Those other men aren't going to be as problematic. And you certainly are not going to perceive them to be threats in your relationship. Now, on the other hand, let's say you meet a girl and she's only been with one other man in her entire life. But that one man was a Division I athlete who went on to have a lucrative professional career. You probably know his name. She slept with him on the first date, went on to have all kinds of wild, hot sex with him, and didn't mind if he slept with other women. Maybe she did things with him you thought only women in porn were willing to do. However, when you started dating her, she made you wait 2 months before you had sex, demanded...
That right there, leave. If you don't turn her on, you're going to get this. That's why I keep talking about the law of attraction. The reason why he got it right away is because he turned her on.
He is the one.
The reason why you have to wait is you don't turn her on.
You're not the one.
So there's no reason for you to stick around with this chick. Keep it moving. Let's rock and roll.
An exclusive agreement and wouldn't do anything beyond standard intercourse. In this case, how are you going to feel? If you're like most men, under these circumstances, you're not going to feel relieved that this woman has had only one single sexual partner.
Bro, I see what he's saying. If she only had one dude, let's say it was Jimmy One Leg.
Little Jimmy One Leg, on the count of his thing was so big.
And you don't have the same package that Jimmy One Leg had, you're not gonna make her happy. If she liked what he was bringing to the game, and you can't match that or better, you hit. So I get him on that part.
You're going to feel like a total schmuck, which you will likely defend against by becoming angry or disgusted. Why? Because you transacted for a less attractive sexual opportunity for far more time, energy, and emotional investment than this other guy. This information is going to make you feel like you overpaid for a good that you could have gotten for much less. And that's going to make you feel that she's not as attracted to you as she was or still is to her ex. This man will likely be a problem, and you will almost certainly perceive him to be a threat as long as you are in a relationship with this woman. Do you understand? The emotional significance.
That's why you shouldn't be in a relationship. Or should I say, a relationship with that situation going on. If you don't turn her on, you're pretty much wasting your time. But I'm going to push back on that, man. 15 dudes. I get this story. But in the real world, 15 dudes, you try to tell me you want her after Jimmy One Leg, King Ding-a-ling, the Supreme Grindsman, Speedy Gonzalez, the man with the golden tongue, all them dudes that hit that shit.
Yeah, fuck.
Beat it up right dance right there.
Little Jimmy One Leg.
Oh, I love to ride. Oh. That was the best fucking I ever had.
That's because you've been dealing with the ace.
They all had different attributes that turned her on. You can't compare to that shit. So that's in the real world. I get what he's trying to say. In the real world, they meet dudes with all different type of attributes. And they want that from one man. And one dude can't give it to them. It's rock and roll.
Of body count has less to do with the actual number and much, much more to do with how favorable you perceive your transacted relationship to measure up to her previous transacted relationships. Men correctly perceive a woman's sexual enthusiasm for him to be a general litmus test for her interest and attraction, which is why, as I've said previously, it's important for women to be the nastiest, sluttiest versions of themselves with the men they want to secure relationships from. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that low body count is presumed to be associated with the ability to pair bond and form an emotional commitment, both of which are vitally important for long-term relationships. And I would say that there is some truth to that. For instance, a woman who has slept with dozens of men by the time that she is 30 might reach that age without any experience whatsoever being in a stable, committed relationship. She's been practicing something else, and so she's gotten better at that something else.
I mean, real talk, brothers. Do you really want her after all that? Nah, hard pass. There's a reason why the ancients had that standard, no sex before marriage. Because that is the better way.
Else. She hasn't been practicing this other kind of relationship, and so she hasn't gotten better at that. A woman with a relatively high body count is also much less likely to be...
That's just that same thing my mother told me. Once these women start sleeping around, that's it, man. It's a wrap. You cannot make that your woman. Unless you're a pain freak or something.
Securely attached and much more likely to be anxiously ambivalently attached. These women often use sex as a means of securing interest and attention from a man, which works, at least temporarily, as a means to validate their self-worth and stabilize themselves emotionally. And a woman with an unstable self-concept and who has difficulty regulating her own emotions is extremely difficult to have a relationship with. For instance, it's very difficult to pair bond with a woman who is constantly afraid that you are going to leave her. What's more, such women might not like you as much as they like attention, which is
Yeah, man. The butterflies. I met a chick. She told me that she is attracted to the newness. You know, a couple months down the road, she's bored and she's hooked at that cycle. That's why chicks like that, you cannot take them seriously. Have your fun and keep it moving.
Easily replaced. So it's the psychology that's really the issue here. The high body count is potentially just a sign of those problematic underlying dynamics. However,
but then that's the problem, man. The high body count is a result of that, I would think.
Or there's another way to think about why a high body count might make pair bonding difficult that doesn't get a lot of airtime, which is why it might be important for me to mention it. We live in a world where much of the advice around maintaining a relationship has to do with effective communication and emotional vulnerability and love languages and so forth and so on. However, the fact of the matter is that one of the best ways to secure loyalty and long-term commitment from a woman is to fuck her really good.
Don't feel me now, don't feel me. I gotta turn shorty out. We don't want nobody else but me and only me.
That is just the truth. And how good you fuck her is always going to be at least somewhat relative to all of her previous sexual experiences.
That's the problem right there. Because the dude that got to her first, she like what he's doing. She's on his program.
He is the one.
She's going to be stuck on that dude because that's the first time she experienced that shit. So she's got a fantasy about this man. This reminds me of a conversation I had with these two chicks. They were talking about do thugs tap that ass better? And one girl said no. It's just that they like them more. So whatever they do is better because they're more turned on. And that makes sense to me. You know, when I think about it, because I never thought about it until she mentioned that. Like the prettier the woman is, the more I'm into trying to tap that ass better because I'm trying to keep her around. This is barbershop talk, man. We knew this shit back in the day. It might not get airplay on YouTube or TV shows and all that stuff. You know, back in the day, they was like, yeah, man, you got to slap your emoji on this chick, man, if you want to keep her around, man. You got to tap that ass real good.
What's up, brother? You fucking up correctly or what?
And I have heard a couple so-called red pill guys saying you shouldn't worry about how well tapping this chick's ass. Which I didn't agree with that. There's a couple guys said that. I did not agree with that because I know that definitely ain't true. You better be concerned with that.
And just so you don't think I'm being inappropriately crass here, let's consider just two pieces of evidence taken from David Buss's The Evolution of Desire. Quote, whereas only 3% of women who were often or always orgasmic with their husbands expressed an interest in extramarital sex, 10% of women on the low end of the orgasm scale reported interest in having sexual affairs with other men. That's fact one. Here's fact two. Quote, 94% of the married women who experienced frequent orgasms with their husbands reported that they still love their husbands as much now as during their newlywed year. 61% of the less orgasmic women reported feeling comparable emotions of spousal love. What does this mean? Apparently, if a woman is not sexually satisfied with you, she is 3 times more likely to cheat on you. And if a woman is sexually satisfied,
yeah. There it is. You better tap that ass correctly if you want to keep her around. Of course, it's not 100% because there's always a not all that steps in. The norm is if you hitting that ass right, she's not going nowhere. That's your girl.
With you, she is 50% more satisfied with the relationship in general. Gentlemen, those are huge fucking numbers. And the relationship satisfaction stat is particularly relevant here because we know that men and women pursue extra partner liaisons for different reasons. Namely, there is no difference, repeat, no difference in relationship satisfaction between men who cheat and men who don't cheat. Just the way it is. However, women who are not satisfied with their relationships are far, far more likely to cheat than women who are. Like, why do you think women go back to that toxic ex of theirs? Because he's good at sharing his feelings?
Yeah, he tapped that ass right.
Now, here's the bitter truth. If a woman's sexual satisfaction is related to her loyalty and her commitment, and her sexual satisfaction is at least partly related to her previous sexual history, the more partners she's had, the less likely you're going to be her best.
Exactly.
All of the.
That's why you are right to fear that. It is logical for you to fear that. Check out these stats he's going to give you.
Things being equal. Like if she's just had 19 other lovers, then the likelihood that you're going to be the best she's ever had is at 5%. Not impossible, but the odds are definitely stacked against you.
Those are shitty odds, man. Real talk. That's why you cannot deal with chicks that slept around. She met some dude in her past before she met you. That's the first time she probably got off. She romanticizes about that man. She's fantasizing about that man. You can't compare to that shit. Even though you may actually be doing more work, maybe you are better than him. But in her mind, you can't match that. That's something to consider, man. Check this out. This chick I used to deal with. She told me that she liked the way I fucked her, but she liked the way her ex ate the booty, which I didn't want to know that. Just the thought of that, it just disgusted me. Like, did you have to tell me that? And that's my point. Every time she meets a dude, each dude has a different attribute that he's bringing to the game. And once she samples that, she's always going to want it. You know, they say a luxury once sampled becomes necessity. And once she samples all these different men, she's going to want all his attributes. It's another chick I met. We got to the conversation. She was like, she didn't know what type of dick she wanted. She didn't know if she wanted a regular size or Jimmy one leg size. And that shit, I was like, damn, man. Because she was like, she liked both sensations. It depends on what she wanted at the moment. I knew a chick that left Jimmy one leg to do threesome because she wanted to do threesome because she loved it so much that she wanted to go back to that. You know, they say from the streets from whence she came, the streets she shall return. Once they get out there and they mess with all these men, there's nothing you can do with these chicks, man. Just giving you a heads up. Protect yourself at all times, brothers. Do your brother man a favor. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell. And I'll see you fellas in the next video. Peace.